Oh yeah, me and Tay, you know who this is. This will be a video response to the many videos, or several videos that are out there entitled, I Am Not an African American. The first thing that I'd like to say is that many people seem to get confused race versus ethnicity. Your racial group, is the set of characteristics, for the most part, of how a group of people look. Similar features, similar skin tones, hair textures, different things like that. Things that visibly group you or collect you together with others that look like you or that you look like. Okay, that's race. And that's even hard to define, because when you get into racial mixing, a person can have a blend of looks. Okay, we'll deal with that in just a minute. But let's take it by the one bar for right now. Just in terms of race, a common look, common physical characteristics, common physical features. Okay, let's start there. Then let's take a look at ethnicity. Ethnicity is culture. Ethnicity and culture, these are things that you learn that are passed down by your parents, your grandparents. For example, language, religion, dances, customs, foods, superstitions, beliefs, all these kind of things. And also, culture can be adopted. You see many people of different races, they may get older or whatever, and maybe they weren't brought up in a culture, but they decide that a particular culture really impacts them. I think the greatest example that I've seen are when whites adopt the Rastafarian culture, if that's the name of it, when they begin to grow out the dreads and take on the different, cultural characteristics, listening to reggae music and all the things, that goes along in Jamaican culture. And I can't get down into a lot of specifics because I don't know a whole lot about Jamaican culture, but I've definitely seen that quite a bit. And with each group of people, there's not only cultures, there's subcultures. So it gets pretty interesting, but let's just, if we can't keep it a little surface right here, thinking of race being, for the most part, physical characteristics that group you together with others that you look like or that look like you, and culture being traditions, languages, customs, dances, religions, beliefs, etc., that were passed down to you by family or that you adopted willfully at a later time. All right. Moving forward, there is just the craziest thing, and I want to preface what I'm saying with this. Sometimes you can hear something for so long and you just automatically assume that is your identity because someone told you that's what it was. And it looks like, for some reason, with a lot of black Americans, we have completely thrown common sense out of the window. I want to ask you a question. How can someone tell you, okay, now this is assuming you know the difference between race and ethnicity. We just explained it, right? So if you go with the thought of you being a black person and you were raised in America, you were raised with American music, language, culture, you know what I'm saying? And as we said, in each culture there are subcultures. So in American culture, you have different groups here. So each different group, Italians, Jews, American Indians, different Latino groups, okay, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cubanos, all of that. Those people that are here, each one having a different, culture. So there's culture, there's subcultures. But let me ask this to the black man, all right? And I myself am part black, and I have multi-cultural, multi-racial dimensions, all right? But I'm speaking just to the black part right now, and to the black side of myself, and to black people that were raised in America. How can we allow someone else to tell us that we have a culture that we weren't raised in? I'm trying to understand that. Would you, as a black person raised in American culture here in the United States, would you let someone walk up to you and call you, oh, you're a black Canadian, or you're a black Mexican, or you're a black Dominican, or you're a black Italian, if you weren't raised there? Now, sure, there are black people in all of these countries, and at the end of this video I'm going to show you some of them, but it seems that when we get to this term African American that was put upon us, and let me just say that term came from the 1850s. There was a newspaper in Canada, and it was describing all of the runaway slaves, African slaves that had run away from the South, and these were first generation Africans, okay, that had run away to freedom. And in some cases, you know, maybe some of the people had been here, so at that point they weren't Africans anymore, they were black people living in America. But you know, a lot of times in the midst of people trying to describe people, we kind of throw everybody together under the same umbrella. You know, sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad, and in a way that hurt us. Let me tell you why. Alright, so they tell us these are Afro-Americans. That was a term that was used. And then we jump all the way forward into the 1980s, I believe it is, and Jesse Jackson gets a push going for the term African Americans. And it's just really ridiculous, and here's why. If you're born in the United States, you're a black person the same way as a black man that's born in Africa, the same way as a black person that's born in Canada, the same way as a black man that's born in Venezuela, the same way as a black man that's born in Jamaica. All of us are black, but we are a part of the culture of the country that we come up in, that we're raised in. Okay? So with that being said, if you accept, and it's up to you what you call yourself, I just want to, you know, bring another side to it. If you say, black man, that you are an African American and you were born here, you don't bump African music in your house, you would know the first kind. You didn't grow up eating the food, you didn't grow up with the, you know, the beliefs of the different religions and the different customs, and you weren't in any particular tribe, and there are many different tribes, and Africa is a continent of many countries, and each of those countries has tribes, and each of those tribes, and many of them, have different languages and different dialects. So that's a completely different culture than American culture. Here in America, you know, most you know, Americans listen to hip hop, or a lot of Americans or black Americans listen to hip hop, pop, rock, some country, whatever you do, it's Americanized. You know what I'm saying? Like I heard one other guy on here, he said, hey, you didn't go in the kitchen and ask for goat and, you know, curry and different things like that. You have no knowledge of you. Your grandmother can't tell you what it was like back in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Those were many generations back, and that's no disrespect. We're very proud of that lineage, but if you say that you're an African American, you're saying, in essence, you are an immigrant, that you were born in Africa and you migrated over to the United States, and you went through the legalization process, right? And you got your papers, and now you're an American, African American. That push, that term, as I see it, and just really common sense, you know what I'm saying? The ethnic group is American. You are a black American. If you're raised in Africa, you're a black African. If you're raised in England, you're a black Brit. If you're raised in Italy, you're a black Italian. Why do we let common sense go out of the window when it comes to this, and this taken by some, oh, to be disloyal to your African ancestors. That's not a disloyalty at all, you know. And additionally, there were, and I'm going to do a video about it, there were free blacks here already living in the United States before Europeans came here and settled. And there were some blacks during the slavery period that were not slaves, you know. But we're going to talk about that in another video. But it's like we let all common sense go out of the window. And if we, again, you know, we take that term African American and say that's who you are, can't tell you the first thing about your tribe, your hair, you know, if that's where you actually descend from. You know what I'm saying? For some people, they would be able to trace a lineage back to Africa. There's some black people that will be able to, you know, if records were still existing, you know, but a lot of things were destroyed and some things weren't written, they would find that they have black ancestry right here in the United States. And I really feel it's a push by racist establishment to take away your rights as a natural born citizen. It's like saying you're a second-class citizen. You really, I don't hear it. How many of you, you know what I mean, just think about it, hear white people saying, oh, I'm English American, I'm Irish American, I'm German American. You rarely hear that. Why? Because they feel that they're a full native of this country and they have all the rights as a person, as a natural born citizen, and then they'll turn around and slam you, oh, African American, as if you don't belong here. And that's bullshit, because you're born here, you're raised here, you have every right to be a full-blooded American. This is the culture in which you were raised if you were born and raised here. So you have full rights. And I don't accept immigrant status. I was born here. I was born here in the United States, you know. And it's like, again, we let all common sense go out the window. Think about it. Where were you born? Where were you raised? If you were born in Africa, you're a black African. If you were born in England, you're a black Brit. And we're going to put these pictures up really quick and just give it some thought. And I want you to speak up on here and share your opinion. You know what I'm saying? Why? I find that questionable. Why do you want to slap immigrant status on me and I wasn't born over there? I correct people. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm an American. I was not born in Africa. My mother wasn't born in Africa. My father wasn't born in Africa. My grandmother wasn't born in Africa. My grandfather, you know what I'm saying? If we come from, if any part of my family comes from Africa, we'd have to go back many generations. And then again, that's not the culture I was raised in. So ethnically, I'm American as it pertains to the black side. You know what I mean? So just think about that. You know, what's up with that? What are you trying to slip in my drink right here? Telling me that I'm not a full-blooded citizen of these United States. You know what I'm saying? You already came in and did all the dastardly and evil things that you did through slavery, so now you want to come in and further disrespect me and further say that I don't have any rights here. You know what I'm saying? If anything, and this is towards racist people that want to disenfranchise black Americans, if anything, your ancestors, we know that for sure, came over here on the boat. You know what I'm saying? So just get some common sense and some wit about yourself, you know? Alright, so I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So I'm going to pull these pictures up here so you can take a look at them. Alright. Question again. Where were you born, black man?
Never been a type of woman. I needed someone. I had to do things myself for the next.
start there. Then let's take a look at ethnicity. Ethnicity is culture. Ethnicity and culture, these are things that you learn that are passed down by your parents, your grandparents. For example, language, religion. Oh yeah, me and Tay, you know who this is. This will be a video response to the many videos, or several videos that are out there entitled, I Am Not an African American. The first thing that I'd like to say is that many people seem to get confused race versus ethnicity, that you look like. Okay, that's race. And that's even hard to define, because when you get into racial mixing, a person can have a blend of looks. Okay, we'll deal with that in just a minute. But let's take it by the one bar for right now. Just in terms of race, a common look, common physical characteristics, common physical. Your racial group, you know, is the set of characteristics, you know, for the most part, of how a group of people look. Similar features, similar skin tones, hair textures, you know, different things like that. Things that visibly group you or collect you together with others that look like you, or in dances, customs, foods, superstitions, beliefs, all these kind of things. And also, culture can be adopted. You see many people of different races, they may get older or whatever, and maybe they weren't brought up in a culture, but they decide that a particular